Say that again.
Let's go.
Episode 2 of the TK Boxing Podcast. Tolis, who would have thought?
Yeah, I mean, it's going great, right? We had a lot of success in our previous podcasts. People were having a lot of fun. We're being funny. Let's keep it that way.
Okay, well, as long as we don't run out of guests, we might have to get my mother on at some point. But to kick it off, we actually have our very first guest of the podcast. Slight change of plans. We swapped over our guests, but it's because this man has just fought on the Canelo Munguia undercard at the weekend. He is a super welterweight at 154 from right here in Los Angeles. We are pleased to welcome Mr. Ron El Diablo Cruz.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on board, gentlemen.
How are we doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Have some coffee, doing a podcast this morning. You know, it's a great day. It's a great day hanging out with some cool guys.
Well, one cool guy and
At least.
and an Englishman.
I am so happy that we are doing that on the mics official. I mean, I know we can talk for hours together for boxing, but you know, now we are doing it a little bit more official.
How are you feeling? How's the body?
You know what? I told the doctor after the fight, I feel great, but my heart is broken. You know, the fight didn't go our way, but it was an amazing experience. You know, really my recurring story that I tell everybody is this is something that I dreamt about since I was 16. And I did like Taekwondo, things like that, right? So I had never been in the boxing world, but for some reason I always saw myself like boxing is something I can make a career out of, and boxing is something I would love to do because I like to fight. So since I was 16, I didn't really know how I was going to get here, but I knew I could get here somehow. And then now we're here, and then being on a card of that magnitude, man, it was just, I never understood when the commentators say that the energy is electrifying, but my God, it was electrifying over there, man. It was intense. It was insane. The weigh-ins were crazy, man. The venue was insane. You know, PBC takes care of you so well.
You were dreaming about that, Ronnie, every night before the fight?
Oh, my God. I couldn't sleep. Man. I was so excited to fight. I couldn't wait to get in there. And, I worked so hard. Like you said, I really worked so hard, and I couldn't wait to get in there and, like, just test myself, man. You know? That's all I ever want to do.
We'll go into details a bit later, but, like, when did you arrive in Vegas? When did you leave? Just a little short story about your whole kind of experience.
So I pulled up on, we flew in on Wednesday. So we get there Wednesday. We kind of hung out. We did like some pictures and things like that. Then Thursday morning, we went and did some like more like media. We had a press conference. Friday morning, we had the official weigh-ins really early. After that, we did the press weigh-in, right? So the unofficial, but it's the show for everybody, and that's where you must have had thousands of people outside T-Mobile. It was packed.
So were you at any point stressed out for the whole situation, or you were enjoying the whole process because you were dreaming about that, and then that's where you wanted to be?
Oh, I was excited. I think that no matter what, your body is stressed because you're about to go into a very intense situation. You know, so your body goes into either fight or flight. So for months, you're at fight mode, right? Every day, that's all you think about. But for me, it's all excitement, man. Like, this is what I tell everybody. So you're telling me you're going to pay me and I'm not going to go to jail and I can fight? Sign me up. Where do I sign? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just love it, man. I love it. And really, for me, it's always been about, I've always just asked God, like, just give me the opportunity to test myself. I want to see where I fall in the talk of these great fighters. Like, I understand. Like, doesn't everybody want to know? Like, don't we all want to know as men, like, oh, he's that good? I got to find out.
The reality is that the more you train for something, like, you do want to get at the highest level, right? You don't do something just to, like, waste your time or your, like, you know, get punched in the head. So you do want to go in the highest level.
Yes, the whole goal is to fight the best. I don't care. You know, a lot of people are afraid to lose and afraid of like what people are going to think. But to me, I'm just afraid to retire one day and like regret not going for this. You know what I'm saying? This is something I just dreamt about forever. And it's like, I don't care,
but
man.
I feel like the more you are one of the very few fighters that the closest you go to the fight, the more excited you are. I never seen that before. Most of the fighters that are locked in, you are too, but you are happy also because you are like, man, look, where are we fighting? Like, you really enjoying the moment, and you really like understand that this is not a privilege, but you know what I mean. Like fighting at this big stage is a dream, you know, and you really enjoy the moment.
It's definitely a privilege, though. You know, this is getting to these stages is the 1% of the 1%. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many people? I always think, like, how many people do I know that I get to do this? Maybe because this is the line of work, I might know, you know, a good handful of people. But this is something that it just gets me so excited to know that I'm living what I dreamt about. You know, like you manifest these things. Like since I was 16, this is all I ever thought about. People looked at me like I was crazy. People used to even laugh when I was a kid. Like, oh, shut up, dude. Like a professional fighter, like who does that?
Tell us a little bit about what you did after the fight.
Yeah, so we did the fight, right? Didn't go our way. I said, all right, well, you know, excuse my language, but I was like, fuck it. Okay, so we went and met up with some of the people that came to watch me from Texas. Some of them are, you know, family and stuff. So went and got a little pizza, watched the fights because PBC took care of us, gave us some floor seats. We got great view of the fight, right?
Nice.
We watched all the fights. After that, a good friend of mine, the Tatted Monster, got us a table at the Hakkasan Club. And, you know, I don't like clubbing, man, and I don't like drinking, but I said, when in Rome, you got to do it, right? So I said, all right, let's go.
You were not driving, did you?
Oh, no, we just walked to the room. We just walked. Well, stumbled, okay, you could say.
Okay. There's no judgment here.
Yeah.
Tolis actually had a party Saturday night at his place to watch the fight. So, we know all about...
Thank God I wasn't driving too.
Yeah, stumbling home. But the less said about that, the better. All right, look, Ronnie, we're going to get into your story and your backstory a little bit further down the line in the podcast. But let's talk about headlines quickly. Yeah. Literally 5 minutes after we recorded our last podcast, the news that Garcia failed his drug test came out. Perfect timing for our pod. Boys, what the fuck?
I really don't know what to make of that. You know, sometimes I just don't understand how you could pop dirty on one test and not on another.
If he didn't really do anything, is frustrated because you got the stigma now that you maybe did something. That imagine that you haven't done absolutely nothing, and then they thought that you did because it sticks in people's mind that you did something probably, and maybe they're trying to cover it, and it's frustrated, you know. But yeah.
So I mean, tell us your experience about drug testing and who's in charge of like your supplements and.
You know what? I don't really take supplements, and I'm big on just. You know, it's a very precarious line that you're riding when you're talking about supplements and things that aren't FDA approved or they can be popped as performance enhancing drugs. You know, I always joke around with guys like, man, it's funny because you'll have guys who get the book thrown at them for doing party drugs. You know, and I always joke, like, I'd rather this dude be doing cocaine than over here on steroids and, you know, like cheating his way through camp as opposed to partying. Like, you know, but these guys, I don't know, man. You know, I think that boxing doesn't take those things as serious. I think that they kind of take it lightly, and in a sense, it's like guys that are on those things, it's almost beneficial to the sport because it gives you those highlight knockouts. It gives you these like boosted up athletes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's just my opinion. I've been around guys who have done it. And
did you ever spar on anybody that you felt like, okay, man, something's off here, like that can be real? Because it's not only for the fight. I guess they might take things for the sparring too.
Yeah, well, you know what it is what I hear the recurring theme is when it comes to peds, it's all about recovery and the training. You know, because when you're training at this level and intensity, your body takes a toll. It's like running a race car, right? You can only do so many laps before you have to change the tires. You got to do this, you got to do that. So all these performance enhancing drugs really are just so that you can perform at the highest optimal level without ever having to stop. Kind of just redlining through the whole camp. You know what I'm saying? But I've never sparred anybody where I would say like, oh, this guy. I mean, I've sparred some guys that hit hard.
I'm so scared of those things, bro. Like, even that I know that people saying that it gives you energy, I don't know the future reaction, though. You might take something now and maybe makes you like Superman, you know, but I don't know in like 10 or 20 years from now, what's going to happen taking those things.
Yeah. And then honestly, for me, I always think like, I've always wanted to know what I'm made of. I don't want to be taking something that makes me Superman, and then I'll forever wonder, like, could I have done it without that? You know, that's just me.
So you think there is a problem in the sport?
Oh, 100%, man. 100%. There's guys that are on this stuff because you got to remember, like, there's this is what people do. There's millions of dollars at stake. You're talking millions and millions and millions. So how many people are getting fed off this? You know what I'm saying? Like, guys will do whatever.
Look, you got to test the fighter on the day or the day before. I mean, I think that's obvious. You just can't get the results back in time. So there's windows that athletes can take it. Did you know, you don't have to divulge this info, but did PBC do testing with you?
We do drug testing. Any big promotion that I've been on has done drug testing.
And when was the last test you had?
So you only test before the fight. You test like right before, like when I got to the venue, when I got to T-Mobile, they take us to a room and we do our pee sample or whatever, right? But I feel like, I mean, there's ways around that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know there's ways around it. Like that's what these guys do. It's science, you know. That's why there's guys that get popped for estrogen because they're taking estrogen to reduce their testosterone levels so that it's just within the bracket.
You know, the rule is strict liability. It's probably a 2-year ban. Like strict liability is, even if it's an accident, you have to take responsibility for those actions.
But then again, we go to follow the money. Remember when Canelo got in trouble, whether it was a mistake or not, he only got a 6-month suspension.
6 months.
That's
okay.
it. No fine, no nothing. Like,
yeah.
How bad is that really?
Right.
What do you do? Take a 6-month vacation? Like, I don't know. Like, what's the fine?
There's
a
list.
Like,
I mean, we could say Tyson Fury as well has been there. It's Conor Ben's going through his thing.
Oh, yep.
Well, I guess the trial continues. We'll wait and see what happens there.
Yes.
Just moving on. Beterbiev. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Beterbiev. Did he got injured? I'm sorry.
He got injured.
He got injured?
He got injured. So Bivol v Beterbiev, which was meant to be on the 1st of June, is now postponed.
Yeah, do they replace the fight now? Is Bivol fighting?
Bivol is fighting a new guy called Malik Zinad.
Yeah, we were all looking forward for that fight. That would have been an incredible fight. Like both of these guys with their style, and you know, one brings the power, the other one's technician. But you know, hopefully we'll see it in the future.
You were looking forward to that fight?
Yeah, I like that. I really like Bivol. I like his style. I think he's amazing.
Have you sparred with him, Ronnie?
Never. I'm too big. What, 175, right? 168, 175? Okay, that's a big boy. Okay. But I think Beterbiev brings a lot to the table as well. Such a knockout artist. He's so strong. I really would have liked to see the way Bivol would have handled that.
Yeah, that's hopefully going to take place later in the year. Obviously, if Bivol defends.
Where's this power coming from? I'm sorry, like Beterbiev power. Like this is crazy, right? Like he's knocking out everybody.
It's like we were saying earlier before the podcast started, right? Gervonta Davis. Some guys are just naturally gifted with power.
Yeah, and you like the way that I see him, like he doesn't even put his whole body, right? Like it's like you know what I mean? Like it's like Triple G, like he's natural power.
Natural power. It just touches you and it's a rock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, talking of Tank, it's Tank versus Frank. Frank being Frank Martin. That's just been announced.
He's a great fighter, right? But like he has to step up a lot in order to beat Tank. I mean, Tank is Tank. He's still good, man. He's still good. And I was actually talking with Ronnie before, like, where is this power coming from? Like he's so tiny, but like he's like dropping like walls. He's so strong. Like
I think some people are heavy-handed. You know, and then there's just levels to the heavy-handedness. And we've seen it, like you said, with Triple G, even with Canelo. Like, you see Canelo hit, and it's like, oh, my God, this guy's got some power.
Is that down to, like, bone density? I mean, it's the same with Wilder. Like,
I really wish
how do you explain that?
I really wish I knew. Wilder is a perfect example of, like, you're talking the sloppy ghetto punch. But you're just gonna be waking up 5 minutes. You're gonna be looking at looking up at the lights like, oh my God.
That doesn't matter if your hands are up, or it doesn't matter like if you punch you, like
his hands are down. He's swinging from back here. Yeah. But if you get touched, bro, it touches you anywhere.
Yeah. Well, Wilder, we'll see. He's actually on the same card as Bivol. It was meant to be Bivol Beterbiev card. It's Wilder versus Zhang. That's gonna be one hell of a slugfest.
Yeah. So is it, Ron, besides of the power for the knockout, is it the timing also? Is it the right spot? So basically when you're trying to knock out somebody or in the sparring, are you trying to be very accurate to where you punch, or you just, I mean, I know you're trying to be accurate, but is it any specific spot that you're trying to get?
You know, one thing I've noticed about knockouts it's usually like a few different things. One, it's a punch that you don't see. That's usually a big factor. It's like, that's why you see punches like on the counter shot. When they miss the shot, no one expects to get hit on that, right? Like even when I got knocked down right in this last fight, I got hit when I wasn't ready for it. You know, it was like a second where you kind of fall asleep for a split second and bang, you're like, oh, what the fuck was
Do you
that?
think your legs are not in the right position, or it's just like you are exposed?
It's, you know what, it's just that your body, I don't know what it does. I've actually meant to research this because I don't understand. Like your legs kind of like, the lights go on and off, right? Like you could, like for me personally, I'm awake. Like I'm going down, I'm like, son of a bitch. As I'm going down, like this can't be happening. You know, and my hands are already down and I'm like, what just happened? But there's also times where guys get hit and it just ruins your legs, where you just lose feeling in your legs. You know, that's why you see guys can't walk, or they do like the gazelle step.
The little chicken dance.
Right, yeah. So it just, you know what? Those are two ways that people get hurt, and also just combination punching. Because it's, again, it goes into like you get hit with the first three and then like maybe you go to hit and you get caught with the last shot. You know, so a lot of it has to do with not being braced and ready for that shot. When you're braced, it's not as bad.
Exactly. When you are ready,
When you're ready for it.
it's okay. You can
Yeah,
take,
you see the shot, it's like
Yeah.
bang, okay, it's a good
Yeah,
shot, but
yeah.
you could take it. But when you don't see it, that's where the problems come in.
Inoue, first ever knockdown in the first round. He survived to win. Knocked out, what's his name, Luis Neri.
Has he ever fought in US or no?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
What is the
This
reason,
was in
though?
Tokyo.
I mean, he's a huge star, right, in Japan, but I don't understand. I mean, it's not like it will change a lot of things because he still fights elite high guys, right, the best guys. But I don't know, like if he fights in US, I don't know.
You want to see him out
Yeah, you
of
want to see him.
Japan.
He'll be
I
outside
mean,
of the.
Out of his comfort
Let's
zone.
say
Yeah.
he'll be out of the comfort zone. Yeah.
I mean, does that look? Essentially, everyone, bar a few, get knocked down at some point in their career. There's always going to come a time.
You know what? It's funny because when you see a fighter getting knocked down for first time in his career, then the other fighters, they start getting confident. Okay, he went down once, so he can go
That's
down.
it. It changes
again.
the mentality,
It's like
right?
with Munguia, right? So
Yes.
and then even the fighter that he got knocked down, he's more aware. Okay, might happen again. So then things change, right?
Yes. There's a big thing when it, you know, for me, fighting is as much spiritual and psychological as it is physical, even across the board. And it's like, you know, it's just like the 4-minute mile, right? Everybody always says nobody could do it. Then you had a guy do it, and you had kids in high school beating it. Same thing for fighting. You know, that's what Mayweather did so great about, is keeping that illusion of being undefeated and being untouchable.
Very quickly, we haven't really spoken about the Canelo Munguia fight itself. So in a couple of minutes, I mean, you're ringside. All right, I have to admit, and I think I did this for the benefit of the podcast, right? I chose Munguia to win. Tolis chose Canelo. We retain our credibility because I got it wrong and Tolis got it right. Okay.
That's right, yeah.
The podcast retains credibility.
You know,
but
that's like Munguia was a dog. Like he gave a great fight. Doesn't matter what, you know.
what did you think from ringside? How was it?
Honestly, I think just Canelo is too much. He's too much. He's strong. I think that his range is everything he does at the highest level that you could do. He excels at everything. And I'm talking micro movements, right? When it comes to his head movement, moving just enough out of range and always being in range to counter. And when he counters, he is strong. Not only is he fast, but he is strong. And not only is he strong, but if you pay attention to the way he does these things, he's setting things up the whole time. Combinations are similar, but there's always a difference. There's always a setup. You know, he's set up the hook, right? Now that you're blocking for the hook, he's coming in. That's how he caught him with that uppercut, right? Yeah. But Canelo wasn't thinking the uppercut. Canelo was going, hit the glove, uppercut, and then ripping the body. But he was already going down. You know what I'm saying? Canelo is like 13 steps ahead. Chess, not checkers, you know? And he is so strong. That's what blew my mind, was the power, how solid that man is when he hits.
Yeah, I mean, his aura hasn't seemed to have diminished since his Bivol loss. To be honest, I thought
he's getting better. I think he's getting better.
Yeah, and the way he just steps out of range as well. And look, Munguia, is a tough cookie, and credit to him. But he just didn't seem to have anything else to trouble Canelo. Like once Canelo was kind of taking those shots, he was just trying to go for that knockout essentially, and nothing was affecting him, right?
Exactly. And Munguia's a great fighter. You know, he's a big guy, and I think he overwhelms people with punches. But it goes back to what we were saying earlier. What happens when you hit somebody with your best shots and nothing happens? You know, Munguia landed 6 or 7 punches, but nothing happened. Nothing was phased. And then it goes back to like, what does that do to your mind? Now you start to second guess, and
So you are like, I gave you my best punches. Now what?
yeah. So you're fighting, and
You're
you're
like, okay,
thinking,
now what else I'm supposed to do? Let's
Yeah.
start wrestling.
you're thinking like, okay, maybe I should throw this punch, and then you get hit with something. And you're like, oh damn! Like now you're getting hit. Now not only did your punches not
But
do
what
anything,
about
but
what
you're getting
about
rocked.
punching the guy and the guy is moving forward? You are like, dude, like,
You can't stop him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's Canelo. He's just a tank, man, and he's just, you know, an incredible fighter.
there is another thing also with changing a little bit with Canelo. He got punched from the biggest punchers, and you are like, nobody can drop him. So that gets, whoever will fight him is like, how I'm supposed to drop him? Like all of the guys punch him so hard, Triple G, Bivol, and he's still there. So that makes the other person like
Yes.
how can we we can
Yes.
drop this guy? There's no way.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, like I mean, you guys are in boxing a little bit, right? You've sparred before, and it does something to you when you hit a guy. I've let's say I've knocked guys out with this punch. Then you hit this guy with that and another one, and
Nothing
then he's just
happened.
looking at you, and you're like, okay, that's interesting. You know, usually they would give me some kind of reaction, but not this guy.
I have a very good point in that, which I like when I box also for myself to do that. Is the psychological part that you talked before. When you get punched with a very good punch, right? You can show weakness.
Never.
Talk to me about it. Like, because at the moment that you are like, you start like flinching, the other guy is like, I got him, I'm going for it. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, you know what?
You hide it.
Personally, I just always in my mind, the one thing I always have in my mind is, well, it's 2 things. One is one punch can change the night. All I need is one shot to change this. And 2, you're gonna have to kill me. Like that's what I have in my head. Like I don't give a fuck if you drop me. I don't care if I'm cut. I don't care what happens. You're gonna have to kill me. There's 2 options. Either you knock me cold out or you kill me. But you're not gonna stop me. There's no way. And that's, I think, something that has to be in you, something you can't teach. You know what I'm saying? And I think all true fighters have that.
So let's go there. Let's go to the beginning.
Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from inside of you? Talk about your upbringing. Talk about how you got into boxing.
Yeah.
Tell us the story.
My mom always put me into combat sports. So this is like my background. I was born, my mom raised me. I was raised with my grandparents. My mom was working, no dad in the picture, right? So my grandparents raised me, and my mother was always working, and she would always come see me. So I grew up with my grandparents. So I was about 13. I was always a rambunctious kid, right? I always had a lot of anger. That kind of kid.
That's
like,
a good word.
You know, yeah, rambunctious. Yeah, that's the word, right?
What is that?
Like
You have
like
some
ADD.
immigrant. You have immigrant. Yeah.
ADD. You know,
Pain
like,
in the ass.
yeah, pain in the ass. There you go. Pain in the ass. So doctors always said like, oh, they used to tell my mom like, you should put him on medication. He has ADD.
Is that real in US? They put kids in medication
They do.
because they are like a little bit more like
'Cause you're a
playful.
boy. It's just being a
crazy.
boy. If you ask me, I look at a kid now. It's like that's just being a boy. It's like what we do, right? So my mom was like, "No, I'm not gonna put you in that." I got into karate. I did all kinds of karate, taekwondo. Once I became like 13, 14, I started realizing like, oh, this is not like if I have to fight, I'm not gonna, kick in. I mean, it's good. I like to kick, right? But I was like, I need something a little more, rugged, right? Something a little more right. So went around North Hollywood. I found this gym. It's called Muay Thai Academy, right? So the first Muay Thai gym in America. And I walk in and I remember like the gym smelled nasty. I see these guys like sweat flying everywhere. These guys are kicking the bag. I'll never forget walking in there, man. These guys are just kicking the bag.
You were by
Wow.
yourself, 14 years
No,
old?
with my mom.
With your
my mom took me.
How funny
So my
is
mom
that?
goes, no, honey. She's like, we should go somewhere else. And I was like, no, like, this is it.
Oh!
Like, this is it right here, right? Long story short, man, that's really what got me started. When I was about 14, I went for a bit. I took a year off. And then at like 15, 16, I went back. And then I just never turned back from there. I just decided like I want to be a fighter. And I really loved it, man. I loved the blood. I loved everything about it.
You know what I think though? You can't teach that. If you are a fighter inside you, you will stick in the fighting game. If you are not, because I have seen over the years a lot of dads, they forcing their sons or daughters, whatever is the case, to be fighters, but they don't have it, and they just don't want to be there because inside them they don't have it. So if you don't have it inside you, the fighting game, like you will never be successful in as a fighter.
That's 100% true, man. I feel like there's things you can teach a lot of things in fighting, but there's two things you can't teach, and that's a chin and heart. You know, that's something you can never teach. And I remember my Thai coach used to tell me, like, you're good because you have heart. Like, he knew, right? Like, I guess you see enough kids or enough people come through your place. And now I see it myself. Right now I'm older. I've had all these fights. I see people, and there's people who don't really train to fight. So I don't even tell them anything because I feel like I'm too intense. And if I talk to a fighter, though, I'm telling them, like, hey, this is different. Like, if you're going to fight, you got to fight. Like, you can't go in that ring second guessing, like, do I want to do this? Do I not? No, you got to go for it, man. And if not, maybe it's the wrong sport.
So when did you find that out? When was your first moment where you realized you fight instead of flight?
Oh, man, the first day I got to that Muay Thai gym, they put me to spar. The first day I'm there, and I remember this kid hit me. Bam. And I looked at my mom, right? I was like, this guy just socked me. And my mom goes, get him. And I was like, all right, let's get it. Like, I got like the green light, right? So we just started going at it.
So your mom was the one that she didn't want you there, but then she became the one. Yeah. Okay, if we are about to do it, we got to do it right.
Look, man, I'm going to tell you something.
Go for it.
My family's Salvadorian, okay? All my family gangster. My grandma, my great grandma, everybody, my mom.
We're not there for fun.
Look.
Forget the fun. There's no fun there.
The first fight I got into, I must have been in like, I don't know, 4th grade, right? It's the first time I punched a kid, okay? Because he just like drove me crazy. I snapped and I went and I punched him. Whatever, I hit him, right? And I turn around and I take off running when this kid picks up a bat. And my grandma gets there and she's like, hey, whatever. I get home, man. Both my grandparents are giving me the lecture. They're like, don't you be starting fights. But if you start it, you better finish it. And that's the lesson I got. My grandfather goes, don't you ever turn your back. He's like, you start a fight, you're going to finish that fight.
Wow.
And that's what you do.
Good advice.
And it stuck with me forever. My mom, really similar advice. She said, I don't want you starting it, but if they start it, you better finish it.
You need the right influences around you, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
You need
100%.
people to push you on, because I think, I mean, you tell us, but there's other people out there who maybe are just as talented, but maybe don't have the people behind them pushing them, or have that kind of heart to go that extra mile, right?
I think that you hit it on the nail right there. That's the separation, right? That's the separation, because people who are talented are a dime a dozen, just like talented people who quit are a dime a dozen. There's so many talented people that I've met, people that I know are better fighters than me, but they've never tried. You know, or they failed once, and then like for them that was it. For me, it's like I failed, and I'm like, I need more. It's not enough. Like, I need to find out again. Like to me, it's like there's always a chance. I don't know. To me, it's always like, man, like there's a shot. Why not? Like, why not me? All these people do it. Why not me?
You need to have the right direction from the people behind you, even if it's a coach, your manager, your promoter, whoever it is, because like, especially in this game, like everybody's trying to do the best thing for themselves. Doesn't matter what they are. So if you don't have the good influence and the right people behind you, like, you're not going to last in the game.
And you know what? That is gold, because I like now being with the team that I'm with, I'm really happy, right? This is I've had 3 fights in the last year. In the last 11 months, I've had 3 fights. Before this, I had this long period of stagnation in my career, where the last 5 years, I think I fought 5 times maybe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 6 fights. So then, like you said, management, people who know what they're doing, it's a huge factor in your career. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, you're kind of just the guinea pig.
I have a very important question for you, and this for all of the young fighters. How many easy fights you think you should do before you get to the hard fights? Because, you know, we've seen fighters fighting for 15, 20 fights in Tijuana or in any other easy state, which I'm not underestimating the fighters there, but obviously maybe that will be easier than here, right? And then they come in, they fighting in US, and all of a sudden, like, they get beat up in the first fight in US. So how many fights do you think you should have easy before you get in the big league?
I think, honestly, it has a lot to do. For me, for example, I did a lot of these fights because I had no amateur background. I had one boxing amateur fight.
Okay, that makes sense.
Most fighters that we see on the big stage are guys who have had at least 50 to 100 to 300 amateur fights, right? So it just really depends. I think most guys want to skip the amateur phase, but I think the amateur phase is one of the most important parts for boxing.
That's
you
true.
have to get your experience there, and then from there, you should have a team. You know, you cannot do this by yourself. You have to have a team of people who are completely unbiased and realize that, okay, maybe let's say Tolis needs 3 fights like this at 4 rounds. Then we go to your 6 rounds. Then we go to your 8 rounds.
Understanding the game.
Understanding the game.
And being honest with you.
Being honest and being realistic with what the goal is, right? Because there's times where like we have time to build and we can take our time and build. And what's our goal, right? Are we just building for a big fight and we're done? Or are we building for a world champ? You know what I'm saying?
Do you feel like you should be honest with your fighter in a sense of like, to protect him? Like, hey, you know what? I think you should stop fighting. Because, you know, you might see fighters that they getting hurt a lot, getting knocked out a lot, and they still doing that. And for me, unless if you get paid way too much, it's not worth the brain damage.
I agree 100%. I think a lot of people are blinded by the money, you know. But to me, the issue is like, you know, when you're broke, you have no money,
and that's all you need to do.
$100 seems like a lot. You know, I've heard people say like, "Oh, I'll fight for $5,000 or $10,000," and I'm like, "Bro, and then you pay your team, and then what? What are you gonna have left? Like $2,000, $3,000,
$3,000, and a huge brain damage.
What you gonna do with that?" But then you know what? Also, I'm blessed because I have a career I can fall back on, so I can say like, "Oh, I can make a few grand a month and be fine," right?
What is that?
I'm a vocational nurse. I'm an LVN.
Oh, right.
So I'm in the healthcare field. So I can always go back to work. You know what I'm saying? If something, like for me, dangerous fights, my coach says it all the time, has to make sense or has to make sense. So it really comes down to that, right? But like I said, when when you have someone who comes from poverty, it doesn't take much to convince a guy who has no money in his bank account to be like, you want to fight this Friday for $10,000 on TV? And then they're like, yes. Little do they know they're going to go home with maybe 8, 7,
taxed on
and
that.
then get taxed at the end of the year. And then what? That's where like the team and having a plan really comes into, right? You have to know where you're going, what the goal is. And to me, I tell my family, like, I'm realistic. You know, I'm not trying to fight past. The checks are real good, maybe till 35, maybe 36, but they got to be real good. You know what I'm saying? If not, it's like it's not worth it, because it doesn't matter how much money you make if you can't enjoy it. If you don't remember why you walked into the room when you're 50 years old. You know what I'm saying? There's like a life after boxing.
Unless if you are a sparring partner of Mike Tyson.
Hey, then maybe I'll take maybe a little brain damage.
You
maybe
know
a
what?
little brain damage.
Sometimes I'm thinking, you know what? I would be knocked the fuck out from Mike Tyson just to see how it feels.
Hey,
you want to talk a little bit about that? I know you were sparring partner for Roy Jones, right?
That's right. I was a sparring partner for Mike Tyson when he fought Roy Jones. Yeah, and
Okay.
I was kind of on the same page, you know.
So wait, you were in the gym or home, wherever you were, and your phone rings, and they said, "Hey, it's from Mike Tyson's team, and we want you. We want you to be a sparring partner." You were like, what was your reaction?
So I was actually running at Hanson Dam, which is in Sylmar. So I'm running, right? It's like 2:00 in the afternoon or something, and then my phone rings, like you say, and then I get on the phone. They're like, "Hey, are you down to spar Mike Tyson?" And
Are you down?
I stopped in my tracks and I turned around and I said, "Right now?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm down." They're like, no, next week. And I was like, "Whenever."
Oh, so you were about to go.
I was ready to run back to the car.
Do you have a mouth guard with you all the time?
I always have my gym bag. I always got my gym bag. I always got my gloves and a mouthpiece. If anyone ever wants to get fresh, I'm like, "Here's your pair. Here's my pair. Let's go."
Hey, bro.
But it was there's things. It's like fighting a T-Mobile, right? Same idea. Like, I'm not gonna pass this up. Like, I'm not afraid of. I'm not afraid of anything, right? Like, it is what it is. That's how I take life. It is what it is, and what's gonna happen is gonna happen. But in my head, it's like, what's the worst Mike could do? Lay me out? I mean, it can't be that bad, you know? I've gotten kicked in the mouth.
Then you got a story.
Well, for real, who would have said no to that? Like, even if he knocks you out, but which I doubt it will happen. It wouldn't happen. But like being a sparring partner of Mike Tyson, like what's better than that?
Why would you say no? All I know is that, man, you could talk to someone who's 90 years old and you could talk to a kid that's 6 years old, and they both know
How
Mike
was his
Tyson.
skills though? How was his skills? How was his skills by
Incredible.
that time?
Incredible.
Still.
Incredible. Yeah. The story I have is, it was 3 of us sparring partners, and
Okay.
the first day I was there, I wrapped up and someone got their tooth knocked out. And I looked and I was like, I'm about to get in the ring right now.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, oh my God.
It's happening.
Right?
It's happening.
And then he goes, we'll spar tomorrow. I was like, oh.
Another day alive.
It's like, yeah, one more day alive. I'm good.
That's great. Was he a great person? Like a cool person? Like
First day, walks in, intimidates the living shit out of all of us. He's mad dogging us. I swear it looked like he wanted to eat us, right?
no way.
Sparring's done. He unwinds for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then he's the nicest guy.
Wow.
I'm talking like...
So he's getting locked in when he's there.
He's just locked
like,
in.
If doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter. He's like,
yeah.
that's what we do.
And you know what? He didn't know who we were, right? So I think it's the fight business, right? It's the fight business. It's just like an unspoken rule. It's like you walk in, you walk in, you size everybody up. I'll take that motherfucker kind of big, but
you know what? Because the reality is this. The reality is that it doesn't matter like if he was doing an exhibition fight or whatever. He knows that all of these young guys that they were there, they might try to knock him out, and they get the reputation. I knocked out Mike Tyson sparring.
Yes.
Who doesn't want to say that, right?
Right.
So he's like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yes. Exactly. But you know what? It was incredible because there was days where he would pull me aside. The first time he called me by my name, it was during the COVID time. So one day we canceled sparring because somebody in the camp popped for COVID. And he comes and he goes, Ron, he's like, I'm so sorry you had to come out here today. These guys are still paying me. Even if we did or didn't spar, if I went or they canceled it paid me no matter what. He still pulls me to the side and he goes, Ron, I'm sorry that you had to come all this way and we didn't spar. And I'm like, you're good. He gave me a hug. Like, I'm talking... This guy is such a good person. It's insane how the media can portray somebody any way they want. You know what I'm saying?
If you see him next time, can you give him a pair of TK?
I would love to, absolutely. 100%.
Can you ask him if he wants to come on the podcast as well?
100% I could, yeah. No guarantees, but I could ask.
Ronnie, so what is next? Now you finished a big fight. I'm guessing you're taking a little bit rest. And what's next for you?
You know what? The mission stays the same, baby. So what's next for us is going to be taking these 2 weeks off, enjoying a little family time, and then back to work, back to the grind. Looking to possibly go to El Salvador again.
Oh, nice.
Those are my people right there. So we're going to go represent. Hopefully we can fill up some stadiums
Eat
soon.
some tacos for me there.
Yeah, pupusas.
Pupusas,
That's
right.
Yeah.
Wait, are we doing a podcast in El Salvador?
Yeah, we can. Come on,
let's
man.
go.
Y'all got to roll out with me. Yeah.
Anyway, so Ronnie, do you want to give any shout outs? I know you have a lot of sponsors all of these years. They're supporting you, and I know how important is that for you.
Yeah, I'd love to give a quick shout out to my team, Virgil Hill, Deneen Hill, Yogi, Brick House, my family, my mom, my girl June. Special shout out to my sponsors. So we have Four Bears Casino from North Dakota, Hanzo Sushi, 777 Investments, Papa Juan's. I also have Nectar Apples, a bar. You guys got to check that out. And also a Kukui energy drink. And yeah, thank you so much to all my sponsors, people who have really helped me out through all these years. And I can't wait to continue to do this with everybody.
And they will keep sponsoring you, brother, because you are a hard worker and you are a great guy.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. And hopefully we'll keep putting them on the map. And it's been a blessing to bring them with me to these stages.
It's been a real honor and a privilege to have you on the podcast.
I have a question before we wrap it up.
One last question, if you don't mind.
Let's do it. I would love it.
Who you have, Kendrick Lamar or Drake? In a box, in
Save
a
the most
boxing
important
fight.
questions till last.
Okay. You know what? Kendrick looked kind of smooth with those hands.
First of all, Ronnie will have you again in the podcast because I really appreciate you. You are great in conversations, in boxing conversations. So it will happen again.
Oh,
so
yes.
for now,
Oh, yeah.
Drake or Kendrick Lamar.
I'd probably go with Kendrick. You
Because
know?
of LA or
Hey, I
because
saw
of the
Drake on those
skills?
mitts, man. He was looking all right.
He's looking all right, but I don't know, man. He come from what's that show, Degrassi or whatever. I can't. I gotta go with Kendrick.
You mean
Goes
Canada as well?
Hey, come on, we gotta stick with
Sorry.
our LA boy. Come on.
Brick House, let's make it happen.
Yes, right. Let's go, Brick House. Let's sign them up.
Look, Ron, El Diablo, Cruz, mate, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having
Thank you,
me.
brother.
Man.
Thank
it
you.
was a fun.
Yeah.
It was a blast.
You're welcome back anytime. You know, the door is always open, so we'd love to have you back.
See you soon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.